Toronto Bike Trails Part 1. Humber River Park Trail. The 14 km Humber River Bike Path is one of the most popular routes to cycle in Toronto, and with good reason. This winding journey up the valley is an ever-changing scenic ride in the middle of West Toronto. From Lake Ontario by the large white Humber Bay Arch Bridge, the bike trail heads northerly along the river's west side through a small park to a side street. Note the Oculus Pavilion, a bizarre, circular spaceship rain shelter. There is a 700 detour road ride along side streets, turn right onto Stephen Doctor, then left onto Riverwood Parkway, where an entrance on the right takes you through parkland and puts you back down into the valley. Soon you will come upon the subway overpass and the large, elegant Old Mill Hotel, then you will cross the Humber on a stone bridge. Further up, you will cross again at the tall rail bridge and enter a wooded area with a few hills before the trail opens up to James Gardens, known for its lovely flower beds. The path then leads you to a major intersection at Eglinton Avenue that adds another climb to street level. Once back in the valley, it is a delightful spin to the end through parkland. At the end of this segment, there is a long set of metal stairs to climb if you want to continue to the upper Humber R part. There is a track to guide your bike tires as you haul it up or turn around and head back. I noticed city work being done to extend the trail past the golf course to connect both ends. When done, this will be fantastic, as the current detour is a short but hazardous endeavor on Weston Road. If you do carry on, look for Fairglen Crescent on the west side to find the trail again. The lower section of the Humber River is more popular, yet I think the upper end is as enjoyable. The path on this section is paved, and has a few cracks and frost heaves to watch for. Signage is adequate but not complete. In places, there are parallel paths, presumably intended for different users, without any signage to define their purpose. This results in people walking and riding on both, which means the paths can get crowded and chaotic on a sunny day. I sure wish the city would make this clear. At Eglinton Avenue W, another 9 km bike path heads west. Though it's within sight of Eglinton, a noisy road, it does take you past Martin Grove Road, and leads you to the quiet West Dean Park route for extra pedaling. On your way, if you are looking for a lunch spot, try Bloor Street or Weston Road. On a recent visit, I saw many trail users riding, walking, jogging, or just resting by the water's edge. This route offers lots of choices to stop, sit on a bench, read a book, picnic, let the kids jump on the playsets, or smell the roses. Find time to take your bike on this wonderful city path real soon. Toronto Lakeshore Park Trail. Cycling the 9 km lakeshore section of the Martin Goodman Trail may seem short, but veering off on side trails to scenic and historic points can double that distance. This enjoyable and very popular route around Humber Bay, on the Toronto waterfront, draws riders for many reasons. As some of you may know, it is a major cycling connector for the city. But are you aware that this route has lots of historic stops and trip diversions? What brings riders down to the lake is not only the cool breeze and beach sand, but a sense of getting away from the urban chaos. Well, not completely, mind you. A glance to the north can reveal lanes of backed-up traffic. You will be glad you are on a bike when you see it. Still, half of the time there is enough parkland to separate cyclists from the sight of cars. I start this ride on the west side, at Mimico Waterfront Park. Sadly, going further west from here is a patchwork of detours and on-road bike lanes, not the focus of this site. I stick to off-road, car-free cycling, where as much as possible riders cannot see or hear cars, much less encounter them. Heading east, the first side trails, at about 4 km, will loop you around both the east and west peninsulas at Humber Bay Park, perfect for cityscape photos across the bay. Then continue over the iconic white Humber Bay Arch Bridge. Here you can ride up the Humber River Trail and Upper Humber right to the top 24 km, one of the most popular routes on this site. Whitby Waterfront Park Trail. Relax and forget your worries as you cruise along the 19 km Whitby Waterfront Trail on the shores of Lake Ontario. It's the perfect new destination for a summer cycle with family and friends. This meandering park bike path winds through open fields and parklands, up and around bays, and across bridges at wetlands. A wide, paved park path in decent shape follows the edge of the lake. The water is not always within sight, but certainly the stillness and cool breeze that come from the lake are apparent. Stop at some point to walk to the edge. There are small clay bluffs along the way with opportunities to look out over the water or climb down to the beach. Map boards posted show you the way, but simply following the painted divider line on the path keeps you on track. This parkland is a popular area, so expect traffic on nice days. I saw plenty of benches, rain shelters, and a few washroom stops along this ride. Twice you need to ride through quiet neighborhood streets to reconnect back to the park path. It's all very enjoyable on this well-established bicycle route. Ajax Loop Park Trail. Out in the suburbs of Ajax, there is a 15 km bicycle loop that's perfect for a leisurely cruise. This path winds along small creeks behind neighborhood backyards and through quiet city parkland. A joy for all to cycle with friends on a lazy afternoon. I first rode this area when it was undeveloped and not too pretty. Over the years vegetation has filled in, a few signs have been erected, and paths got paved. 15 years later, it's ready to ride, so read on. Much of the path is in the open, making this a sunny ride with not many shady trees, so get out the sunscreen. Fields of tall grasses and shrubs give you views of shallow valleys where a paved path winds across the creek over bridges. The route meanders enough to keep it fun and interesting. Everyone loves a bike loop, so I actually combined 2 creek bike paths to create a loop for you, though you could also just do one creek and double back. A bike path along Taunton Road E, at the north end connects the 2 park trails. I started at Miller's Creek Park and headed north, then east over to Carruthers Creek and back down. Once you reach Kingston Road, there's a bike lane going west to get you back to Chapman Doctor, but why would you take it? The traffic is thick and the car noise you can do without. West Don River Park Trail. The West Don River has some of the most popular scenic bicycle paths in Toronto. None of them is very long, so I grouped a cluster of 5 together to offer you about 15 kilometers to enjoy. At its southern hub by the DVP, the trail is an important thoroughfare connecting with the Lower Don River and Taylor Creek bike paths. From there, heading north over the river and rail tracks, this trail starts with a steep hill, bridge and ramp to overcome. And post barriers to watch for, more on that below. Asterisk. Once over, you are in E.T. Seton Park on a wide paved roadway, Bike Route 45. Cars also share the route, briefly, to find parking. From this deep valley you will see the tall Overlea Bridge. As you ride under it, the vista opens up and you enter the parkland behind the Ontario Science Centre. Here you can picnic, play disc golf, or find some dirt MTB trails in the woods to scoot around on. Riding further, the path splits briefly. You can take either route, over the water and under another sizable iron railway bridge. You have now reached Eglinton Avenue E. The path underneath takes you to Serena Gundy Park. I find this twisty, paved path gets a little narrow in places, an issue on busy weekends. Etobicoke Creek Park Trail. Ride the 17 kilometers of newly expanded bicycle paths along Etobicoke Creek, a route that has taken years to develop into an excellent long cycling adventure. As you ride by the waters of this creek, there is little to remind you that there is a bustling city beyond the edges of the valley. Assorted hills, curves, underpasses and bridges keep it all interesting. The scenery is a naturalized ravine setting typical of the Toronto area. From Lake Ontario, this trail starts in Marie Curtis Park. It winds up the creek valley for an enjoyable 3 kilometers to the QEW highway. That's it for the south end. Beyond is a MTB adventure on a rough, grown-in track I have not done in years. The way is blocked by this untamed section and a golf course. The master plan is to one day, someday, connect the whole length. Till then, let me suggest a much longer section above this mere 3 kilometers jaunt. As of 2021, you can start from Fleetwood Park off Benhamthorpe Road E to catch this trail as it follows the West Bank north. Most of it is paved and recently upgraded with new signage, benches, and crossing lights. A highlight on the trip is Centennial Park, whose large parklands have many features like a conservatory, ski hill, BMX race track, and extra paths to explore. Once the trail reaches the other side of Highway 401, you may see airliners coming in low over your head to land at the airport. A thrill for any aviation junkie like me. Erin Sawmill Park Trail. In Mississauga, explore the 8 kilometers Erin Sawmill Park Trail. An interesting ever-changing bicycle loop I designed because everyone loves loops. They bring you back to your start point when complete. In 2020 I scouted this out and encounter a few sections being resurfaced by the city. So I waited till now to suggest it as a good, convenient city park ride for those on the west side of Toronto. This route encompasses a few different trail sections, so the name changes, and so does the terrain. It flows well between one neighborhood to the next with few street crossings, as most roads have an underpass for cyclists. Hooray! That said, riding it for the first time will require a map to stay on course. There are lots of side trails to keep you guessing. Signs are posted, sometimes, but this is not a loop the city has mapped out. We started from Mississauga Road and the College Way, taking the Sawmill Valley Creek Trail into the wooded ravine. It is shady as it follows the water on a dirt/wood chip path you need to contend with. This is the more natural, secluded part of the loop. Bartley Greenway Park Trail. The Bartley Smith Greenway, BSG, is a 15 km park path in Vaughan, a suburb northwest of Toronto. This trail heads north following the source of the West Don River. I recently revisited the route and found little changed except for new signage. It offers an enjoyable ride with a variety of open parkland and natural wooded scenery, and a few more hills than one would expect. We started our day by parking in G. Ross Lord Park above the reservoir. I included this 2 km paved hidden trail to get you to Steeles Avenue, a busy road with few opportunities to park or breaks in traffic to cross. For safety, I recommend using the lights at the corner. The official start of the Bartley Greenway is on the other side of these 6 lanes. Your other major crossing will be Dufferin Street, where you can go under the train tracks and across another wide road at the lights. If you can spot it, there is a tunnel under Glen Shields Avenue which continues north on a concrete trailway to the pond, a lovely, tranquil setting to stop at, one of 5 along the way. Once you are crossing under Highway 407, the path turns to crushed limestone. Some call it stone dust, or is it limestone screening? Never a problem for most riders, just watch your turns, as there are pockets of loose grit. The city has paved most of the sloping portions of the pathway with asphalt, a thoughtful addition, and added new signs which answer a lot of directional questions for cyclists. Gatineau Corridor Park Trail. The Gatineau Hydro Corridor Trail cuts diagonally across Scarborough for about 11 kilometers currently. This newly paved trailway, part of the Pan Am Path Legacy Trail, moves cyclists across town on a linear route that connects to other parts of Toronto. Exciting plans are in the works to connect this path with Highland Creek on the east end, and to lead you down into the East Don Trail on the other side. When the route gets finished in 2024, hopefully, it will be 16 kilometers in length. This rather uneventful, utilitarian path follows the power lines for its full distance. Thankfully, the route is not too straight, as it does wind around these tall towers, and it has, surprisingly, a few good hills. It's very much in the open, so you may experience wind gusts and plenty of sun, so be prepared. Not the most picturesque views among the electrical grid towers, but it is a car-free ride. Well, sort of, it still has road crossings and a section in the middle that connects via side streets. A fairly tall, elaborate metal bridge crosses the LRT tracks, and could be considered the highlight of the ride, LOL. Yup, not much to see on this route compared to other trails on this site. At the bridge, there is a side path that goes south for a kilometer to the Kennedy subway station, which would be ideal for crosstown bikers to get here to start the ride. Birkdale Park Trail. Right in the heart of Scarborough, on the east side of Toronto, the Birkdale Trail follows the West Highland Creek for 5 kilometers. Though a short cycle, it has 2 other routes that intersect to add 12 more kilometers to your journey if you're so inclined. Explore a collection of the parklands and natural ravines typical of this area, somewhat connected together by a path that is certainly better paved than it was a few years ago. The route starts from the north end at Ellesmere Avenue down into a small ravine valley. We meandered on a wide, paved trail. It offered a quick escape from the concrete of the big city as we traversed bridges and cruised along the banks of the Treed Creek. At Brimley Road, the only road crossing, we entered the large Thompson Memorial Park grounds. Rouge Valley Park Trail. In Markham, a suburb on the north side of Toronto, we found a surprisingly pleasant 12 kilometers bike cruise called the Rouge Valley Trail. Following the Bruce Creek into the upper Rouge River tributaries, we encountered a patchwork of trails that lead us to ponds, a lake, bridges, and dams that we loved. We set out on a chilly spring day and found the trek full of winding, ever-changing landscape that kept us interested in going further. Much of it was still natural and not overly cultivated open parkland. Starting from the top at 16th Avenue, we headed southeast following the creek, on a twisty and easily navigable narrow path. Onward through ravines, over many boardwalks and bridges we went. The surface was old cracked asphalt with sections of gravel, or a wood chip base. Don Valley MTB Trail. Toronto's best MTB ride spot is the Don Valley in the center of town called Crothers Woods. Okay, officially it's the only ride spot that kicks in town. Pest, there is more trails going north. Over the years these trails are improving and getting better with the help of IMBA and others to make what was a hiking trail more of a safe, flowing trail system with less erosion problems. Can be a challenging and hilly ride. Busy at times when the office crowd gets off. Well-worn trails and most are two-way, so watch your speed. Various ramps and stunts. After a rainfall it will be muddy with very slippery clay, so stay off for a few days. The Don Valley Trail system extends in many directions. This part, Crothers Woods, is the most popular and approved by the city for MTB riding. It runs along the valley hillside and has a few steep and tricky inclines off camber. Best for the experienced rider. For beginners, an easier ride can be the River Trail, which is not on the city map. It follows the river back to the other end and makes for a great loop. It winds through fields and wooded area on a sandy base on the edge of the Don River. This flat ride is a change from the hillside climbs on the other run. You could also ride the paved trail back on the other side of the river, if you must. Watch for eroded trail in the spring from river flooding, stinging nettle bushes in midsummer, and the train track as the trail comes up close at one point.